Welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. We're out here in the garden today. It has been a long neglected garden this summer. There's been lots of reasons, which I'll kind of talk about, but it's time to get out here and get some things taken care of. So I just want to show you some of the things that have worked for me in the past, some of the things I'm doing differently this year, just kind of cleaning things out, weeding things up. Today we're going to work on mostly our pepper patch, our bell pepper patch today. So let me show you what we've got, and we'll give you kind of an update on how the soil is going and where we've come as far as the garden this year. So this is the pepper patch. This section of the garden here is mostly new, so we expanded the garden out quite a bit from the path here out this way, and the soil has a lot of growth left in it, let's just say. So it has a lot of work that we need to do to get really good soil here. It's not too bad. We did a little prep work at the beginning of the season, but as you can see, we've got lots of grass growing in here and weeds, and I did knock this down and came through and weeded it earlier this season, but I've kind of neglected it, and I never had a chance to get wood chips in here. So the bell peppers have been growing pretty good. We've harvested quite a few out of here. We've got some decent sized ones growing here, but it's not as good as I normally see by this time of year. We're over halfway through the season here in Michigan in August. We're early August, and this is pretty weak as far as production goes, but not too bad for what we have. So one of the things that has helped me a lot in this garden has been this smaller scale tiller. I think this one, I want to say, is maybe a 16 or 18 inch. I think it's 18 inch. And this is great. As long as I space my plants out right, I can use this to get down these aisles, these rows here. Now, these are a little bit tight, so sometimes if I'm not real careful, I can nick these plants and damage them. But also, if once the grass is too long, like I let it get in here, once the weeds get too long in here, it just ends up getting wrapped all around the tiller, and then you got to just spend all your time pulling it out. And so I had to get in here and do some manual weeding. But this new one that I got, this new tiller, is a 7.5 inch, so it's even smaller. And these are both electric, so the bad part of it, I guess, is I've got a cord that I have to have connected to them. But I like that. I prefer that over the battery ones, just because I don't have to worry about batteries. So my first step today is going to be to just pull the rest of this grass out of here, rest of the weeds out. We've got a little patch left to do, so we'll clean the rest of this area up here. I'm saving all of these weeds, of course. These all go to a compost pile. I'm actually starting a new compost pile down in the garden area. It's going to be sitting right back there. And this will all get fenced in eventually. It's all a work in progress. I want to save all this. Is all the nutrients that have come out of the soil all year have grown these weeds, and so we want to save that. We want to compost that back down. We want to break that back down into a nitrogen, whether it's manure from worms and other things, or just organic matter, broken up organic matter in the soil. So we want to use all of this. Some of it's going to get mixed right back in here, and some of it is going to get composted, and then that'll be next year. So I'll use that next year, and as that breaks down, we'll use it to amend around the plants. And I also have a couple other amendments that we're going to be adding, kind of a mid-season amendment to these plants today that will help keep some of the weeds down, but also help to feed all the microorganisms that we are trying to attract into this area. So let's get the rest of the weeds out of here, make this look pretty, and then we'll get some nutrients around these peppers. Hopefully we can get a boost of production throughout the end of the year here. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is just take an hour a week, or however much time you need, and pop a podcast in or something and get out in the garden and take care of weeds. It is something you definitely have to keep up with. There's always lots of excuses of why we don't tend our garden as much as we should, right? But here in Michigan this year, over the past almost 30 days, it's rained so much. We've gotten lots of storms, we've gotten lots of rainy days, and so I don't have a lot of time. And when I did have time to get out and manage the garden, it was raining. So I've missed a lot of opportunities, and then a few weeks go by, and then all of a sudden a month has gone by and you haven't taken care of your garden. That's what happens. We were extremely spoiled out at the farm with all the pig manure and goat manure and chicken manure. We had a much larger scale livestock production, and so that allowed us to have just an enormous amount of manure, which is just gold in the garden. When we made our kitchen garden from scratch, it had a much better first year. Most of this garden is first year. some of it is second year. And the idea is that we have to build organic matter. The soil here was horrible. When we started from way further back than I've ever started before. But we have made a lot of progress, and so you can even see already this year, there's tons of bugs and roly-polies, centipedes. There's a lot of worms, a lot of earthworms. I haven't seen a lot of the red wigglers that we had, the manure worms that we had at the farm in here, but there's been a lot of nice, real big, active earthworms that are super healthy. You know, that's what we want. And so the more of that we have, the more organic matter we keep adding into this area, we keep working into the soil, all this stuff that's growing and breaking the soil down, we're gonna build, you know, a good 6 to 8 inches of super healthy organic soil, organic rich soil. And that's what we want. We want all of the life to be here. Last year, this was rocks and sand, and you know, you could take a shovel, or you couldn't dig it with your hand, but you could take a shovel and dig in here and you wouldn't find any life. There was nothing, no bugs, no ants would even live here. It was you know, it was like Mars or something. So one of the disadvantages of obviously letting your garden get this messy without weeding, is letting your weeds get this long, is you have the potential to disturb a lot of your root structure. So you can see some of these finer roots. This could be from our pepper plant, and so that's not good. So sometimes I won't try to get every weed. Just kind of a quick pass through. I'm gonna try to shake as much of the soil off here as I can, but anything that's stuck to the roots is just gonna come back next year with the compost. Well, that looks a little bit better. Still have a lot of weeds kind of left in there, and some of those are going to sprout back up, but that's fine. Now it's manageable, and now I can use my little tillers to kind of work through here. So a little new method here of feeding the garden. Did a video on this little composter, this kitchen composter that I got a few months ago, and I love this thing. It basically, you throw scraps in it, and this is what you end up with. It's very dry. It's not compost, it's just dried nutrients, I guess. And so this is everything from tomatoes to avocado peels, banana peels, orange peels, anything that I would normally throw in a compost pile, you can put in here. You can also straight up compost food scraps. You know, extra leftover spaghetti or something you can throw in there, and it'll turn it into this also. Of course, I would stay away from meats and things, but that's just my preference. So I'm just gonna take this nutrients and I'm just gonna sprinkle it. Try to keep it around the plants, but I'm just gonna sprinkle this all over in here, and then I'm gonna run that little tiller through here and just kind of mix it up. So I just have an abundance of these wood shavings and wood chips. This is from my planer. This is a combination of oak and maple, some pine, and black walnut. A lot of people talk about black walnut stuff. This will not kill your plants. The black walnut, mainly the tree itself, when it grows, the roots of the tree, they do tend to kill trees around them and other things, but generally the decomposing black walnut wood shavings or wood chips have not been harmful. At least I have never found them to be. I've put them in my garden for years. So we're just going to put some of this around the base of all of these just to keep the weeds from growing back right around the base of the plants. And this is also going to help keep a little bit of moisture on the base of the plants as well. Well, certainly looks a lot nicer and should grow a lot better. And we've got a lot more work to do. We've got a lot more to clear out here. Some of these rows need to be cleared out and replanted. We've got potatoes that are ready to harvest and some carrots and other things. green beans, lots of other stuff in here ready to harvest, and lots more work to do.